When Elon Musk walked out of that building, he had just lost everything. $50 million, gone. A company he created with his own hands, stolen. A promise he made to a dying father and his paralyzed son. Broken, the board of directors had just kicked him out, voted him off, removed him from the very company he funded. They told him he was too chaotic, too distracted, too unpredictable. They said he was holding them back. Elon sat in his car in the parking lot, staring at the building through his rearview mirror. His hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. Everything he had worked for was gone. Everything he believed in had been taken away. But then something happened, something nobody expected. Elon pulled out his phone. For exactly 10 minutes he sat there thinking, planning, calculating. And then he made one phone call that would change everything. That single 10-minute decision would help hundreds of people walk again. It would destroy the company that betrayed him. It would prove that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that happens to the world. But what did Elon do in those 10 minutes? What was the phone call about? And how did a 16-year-old boy in a wheelchair become the reason for everything? Stay with me, because this story will show you that promises matter more than money. That betrayal can become your biggest breakthrough. And that 10 minutes can change not just one life, but hundreds of lives forever. This is the true story of how Elon Musk turned the biggest betrayal of his career into one of the most beautiful victories in medical history. And it all started with an email from a boy who refused to stop dreaming. The conference room on the 42nd floor of NeuralSync Technologies gleamed with cold perfection. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked San Francisco's skyline, where fog rolled between buildings like silent ghosts. Everything in this room, from the polished marble table to the leather chairs that cost more than most people's cars, represented success and innovation. Elon Musk sat at one end of that table, his fingers drumming quietly against the armrest. He wore his usual outfit, a plain black t-shirt and jeans. Nothing fancy, nothing that screamed billionaire. Just a man who had poured $50 million of his own money into making the impossible possible. Around him sat 7 people, 7 faces he had trusted, 7 individuals he had personally selected to help build something that mattered more than profit. The silence felt heavy, like the air before a thunderstorm. Dr. Marcus Chen sat directly across from Elon. Marcus was brilliant, a neuroscientist from Stanford with 3 PhDs, and a mind that could solve problems most people couldn't even understand. Elon had found him 3 years ago at a medical conference. Marcus had been presenting research on neural pathways, speaking passionately about helping paralyzed patients walk again. That passion had convinced Elon to write the check that started everything. But today, Marcus wouldn't look Elon in the eye. Rebecca Holloway sat to Marcus's right. She was the board chairwoman, a former venture capitalist with silver hair cut in a sharp bob and glasses that made her look like she could see through lies. Elon had brought her on because she understood money and regulations. She knew how to navigate the complex world of medical device approvals. The other 5 board members, Dr. Yuki Sato, James Thornton, Patricia Wu, David Goldman, and Angela Martinez, all avoided looking at Elon too. They studied their papers, their phones, the view outside. Anything but the man who had made their positions possible. Elon felt the betrayal before anyone spoke. He had learned to trust his instincts over decades of building companies, launching rockets, and creating things people said couldn't be done. Right now, every instinct screamed danger. "We should begin," Rebecca said finally. Her voice was crisp and professional, too professional, like a surgeon announcing they had to amputate. Marcus cleared his throat. He shuffled papers that didn't need shuffling. "Elon, the board has been discussing the direction of NeuralSync for several months." "Without me," Elon said quietly. It wasn't a question. Patricia Wu shifted uncomfortably in her chair. She was a neurologist who specialized in spinal cord injuries. Elon remembered visiting her lab, seeing her eyes light up when he described his vision for the technology. She had actually cried when he offered to fund her research. Now she wouldn't meet his gaze. "We felt it was necessary," Rebecca continued, taking over the conversation with the smooth efficiency of someone who had practiced this speech. "Elon, you're incredibly talented, visionary even, but your involvement in multiple companies has become problematic." "Problematic," Elon repeated. The word tasted bitter. "Your tweets," James Thornton added. He was a lawyer who specialized in medical technology. The things you say on social media create volatility. Investors get nervous. Regulatory agencies watch us more carefully because of your reputation. Elon leaned forward slightly. My reputation, the reputation of someone who actually builds things, who delivers on promises. You're also the CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, Marcus said, finally looking up. His eyes were hard, defensive. You can't give Neuralink the attention it deserves. We need focused leadership. I gave you $50 million, Elon said. His voice remained calm, but something flickered in his eyes. Hurt, anger, disappointment. I gave you access to my engineers, my contacts, my credibility in the industry. I believed in this mission when it was just a dream on paper. And we're grateful, Rebecca said smoothly. Too smoothly. But gratitude doesn't change reality. Neuralink has grown beyond its initial phase. We need leadership that can dedicate 100% of their time to this company. Elon looked around the table slowly, studying each face. Dr. Sato, who had promised him she would never compromise the mission for profit. David Goldman, who had told Elon he was the only person with the courage to fund such ambitious research. Angela Martinez, who had literally said, "You're saving lives, Elon. Never forget that." They all looked away. "So what are you saying?" Elon asked, though he already knew. He had known the moment he walked into this room and felt the temperature drop. Marcus took a deep breath. "The board has voted. We're removing you from your position as chairman and primary stakeholder. Your advisory role is also being terminated." The words hung in the air like poison gas. Elon didn't move, didn't shout, didn't slam his fist on the table like people expected billionaires to do when they didn't get their way. He just sat there, processing the magnitude of the betrayal. "You're kicking me out," he said softly, "of a company I funded, a company that exists because I believed in helping people who can't walk." "It's a business decision," Rebecca said. "Nothing personal." Elon laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. "Nothing personal. I poured my heart into this. I didn't invest $50 million for profit. I invested it because I met families destroyed by paralysis, because I promised them we would find a way." "And we will," Marcus said quickly. "This doesn't change the mission. It just changes the leadership structure." "You mean it changes who gets credit," Elon said. The words came out sharper now. "Who gets to stand on stage when this technology finally works? Who gets their name in the history books?" Patricia Wu flinched. "Good. At least someone still had a conscience." "That's not fair," Marcus protested. "We're doing this for the good of the company. You're too unpredictable. Your other projects pull your attention away. We need someone who—" "Someone who what?" Elon interrupted. "Someone who moves slower, someone who's afraid to take risks, someone who's more interested in board meetings than in actually helping people. Someone who won't jeopardize our funding with controversial statements," Rebecca said coldly. "Someone who understands that building a medical device company requires careful, measured steps, not chaos." Elon stood up slowly. The chair scraped against the floor, the only sound in the silent room. "I'm not chaotic," he said quietly. "I'm committed. There's a difference." He looked at Marcus for a long moment. "I chose you because you convinced me you cared about the patients, about the kids in wheelchairs who dream of running again, about the veterans who lost their mobility serving their country. Was that all just a sales pitch?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "I do care, but I also care about building a sustainable company that can actually help those people. Your way would get us shut down by regulators or destroyed by bad press." "My way," Elon said, "is the only way any of my companies have ever succeeded. By refusing to accept impossible. By moving fast and solving problems instead of hiding behind committees and caution." "Your way is reckless," Rebecca said firmly, "and this board won't allow it anymore. Security will escort you out." The words hit like a physical blow. Elon looked around the table one more time. 7 people, 7 betrayers, people he had trusted, people he had empowered, people who were now throwing him out of his own creation. "I gave you everything," he said quietly. "My money, my time, my reputation, my dreams for what we could accomplish together, and this is how you repay me." No one answered. The door opened. Two security guards in crisp uniforms stepped inside. They looked uncomfortable, like they knew this was wrong but had no choice. "Mr. Musk," one of them said gently, "we need you to come with us, please." Elon didn't resist. There was no point. The vote was taken, the decision was made, the betrayal was complete. He walked toward the door but paused at the threshold. Without turning around, he said, "You think you're saving this company, but you just killed it. You just don't know it yet." "That sounds like a threat," Rebecca said sharply. "It's not a threat," Elon replied. "It's a prediction." Then he walked out. The hallways of NeuralSync Technologies felt different now. These were hallways Elon had walked through dozens of times. Hallways he had walked through with architects, explaining his vision for the space. Hallways where he had celebrated breakthroughs with researchers. Hallways where he had dreamed of the future. Now they felt like a museum of betrayal. He passed laboratories filled with equipment he had purchased. Workstations where engineers he had recruited sat typing. Conference rooms where he had spent countless hours discussing the science and the mission. Some employees looked up as he walked past. Their expressions ranged from confused to sympathetic to carefully neutral. Word would spread quickly. By tonight, everyone would know that Elon Musk, the founder, the funder, the dreamer, had been kicked out. The security guards escorted him to the lobby. They were professional but not cruel. One of them even looked apologetic. "For what it's worth, sir," the younger guard said quietly, "a lot of us thought you were doing something really special here." Elon managed a small nod. "Thank you. Keep believing in the mission, okay? Even if I'm not here anymore." He walked through the glass doors and into the San Francisco afternoon. The fog had cleared and the sun felt warm on his face. It seemed wrong somehow. The weather should have been dark and stormy, matching the darkness he felt inside. His car was parked in the executive lot, a space he had paid for at a building he had helped design for a company he had created. Elon sat in the driver's seat and closed the door. The silence felt enormous. Outside, the world continued moving. Cars drove past. People walked on sidewalks, planes flew overhead. Life went on, completely unaware that something terrible had just happened. For several minutes, Elon just sat there. His hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. He thought about the board meeting, about Marcus's cold efficiency, about Rebecca's calculated cruelty, about the others who had gone along with it, too cowardly to speak up. He thought about the $50 million, the time, the effort, the dreams, all of it thrown. Part of him wanted to scream. Part of him wanted to drive away and never think about NeuralSync again. Let them fail. Let them discover that committees and caution couldn't replace vision and courage. But another part of him, the part that had built companies from nothing, that had landed rockets and sold electric cars when everyone said it was impossible, that part knew something important. This wasn't over. Elon pulled out his phone. The screen glowed in the dim interior of the car. He had hundreds of unread messages, as always. Notifications from Twitter, emails from executives at his other companies, text messages from colleagues. But one email notification caught his eye. The sender was Tommy Rodriguez. The subject line read, "Mr. Musk, when will NeuralSync be ready? I graduate high school in 2 years. I want to walk across that stage." Elon's breath caught in his throat. He opened the email and read, "Dear Mr. Musk, it's Tommy. I know you're super busy and probably don't remember me, but I'm the kid from San Antonio who emailed you 2 years ago about wanting to walk again. You wrote back and promised we'd make it happen. I'm 16 now. I'm doing really well in school, mostly A's. I'm learning everything I can about neuroscience and computer programming. I want to help build the technology that will help me and other people like me. My high school graduation is in 2 years, May 2021. I know it's probably impossible, but I dream about walking across that stage. My mom works so hard for me, and my dad. He died in the accident that hurt my legs. I just want to walk for both of them, to show them their sacrifices meant something. Do you think NeuralSync will be ready by then? I believe in you, Mr. Musk. You've never broken a promise. Thank you for everything. Tommy Rodriguez." Elon read the email 3 times. He remembered Tommy's first message, remembered reading it late at night, sitting in his office at SpaceX, exhausted from a long day of rocket tests. That email had burned itself into his memory. A 14-year-old boy, paralyzed, dreaming of walking again. Not for himself, for his mother, for his father. That email was why Elon had funded NeuralSync in the first place. And now Marcus Chen and his cowardly board thought they could just kick him out. thought they could take control of the mission and slow it down with their caution and their committees. They had no idea what they had just done. Elon looked at his phone. He looked at the Neuralink building in his rearview mirror, and he looked at Tommy's email. For exactly 10 minutes, Elon Musk sat in that car and thought. He thought about promises and betrayals, about missions and profits, about the difference between people who talk about changing the world and people who actually do it. And then he picked up his phone and made a call. "Kimiko," he said when she answered, "I need you to do something that sounds impossible." On the other end, Kimiko Tanaka, his lead engineer at Neuralink, laughed. "Those are my favorite kinds of things. What do you need?" Elon looked at Tommy's email one more time, at the hope in those words, at the trust a 16-year-old boy had placed in him. "I need you to accelerate our mobility restoration program," Elon said. His voice was steady now, determined. "Fast-track everything. I made a promise to someone and I won't let corporate greed break it." There was a pause. "How fast are we talking?" 18 months. Kimiko gasped. "Elon, that's not realistic. We're years away from human trials, the FDA approval process alone." "Then we work faster," Elon interrupted. "We work smarter. We find solutions instead of problems. We make it happen because a kid named Tommy Rodriguez believes we can, and I'm not going to let him down." Another pause, longer this time. Then Kimiko said quietly, "You're going to need serious funding and a team willing to destroy their sleep schedules." Elon smiled for the first time since walking into that conference room. "I'll handle the funding. You find me people who care more about the mission than the clock. Find me people who remember why we do this." "When do we start?" "Right now." Elon ended the call and sat back in his seat. He looked at the Neuralink building one last time through his rearview mirror. Marcus Chen and his board thought they had won. They thought removing him would make their lives easier, would make their company more predictable and safe. They had no idea they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. But Elon knew something they didn't, something that would change everything. And in 18 months, the whole world would know it too. He started the car and drove away, leaving Neuralink Technologies behind. But he wasn't leaving the mission behind. He was just getting started. 2 years earlier, San Antonio, Texas, September 2017. Tommy Rodriguez sat in his wheelchair by the window of his small bedroom, watching the neighborhood kids play basketball in the street. The sound of the ball bouncing against pavement echoed through the warm Texas evening. Laughter floated up to his second-floor window like music he could hear but never join. He was 14 years old. He should have been out there with them. The accident had happened 16 months ago. Tommy still remembered every detail, even though sometimes he wished he could forget. His father driving them home from Tommy's soccer tournament. Tommy in the back seat, his MVP trophy sitting beside him. He had scored 3 goals that day. Then the truck ran the red light. His father had seen it coming, had jerked the steering wheel hard to the right, taking the impact on the driver's side instead of where Tommy sat. His father died instantly. Tommy's spine was crushed at the T10 vertebra. The doctors said he would never walk again. They said it kindly, gently, the way adults talk when they are trying to soften terrible news. But the words meant the same thing no matter how soft the voice. His legs would never work again. Tommy looked away from the window and back at his computer screen. The old laptop sat on a desk his father had built 3 years ago. It wobbled a little because one leg was slightly shorter than the others. His father had promised to fix it. He never got the chance. Now Tommy spent most of his time at this desk, teaching himself to code. He started with simple programs, calculators, basic games, things that probably looked silly to real programmers. But then he got better. He learned Python, then JavaScript, then started exploring more complex languages. Coding made sense to Tommy. It followed rules. It was logical. If you wrote the code correctly, the program worked. If you made a mistake, you could find it and fix it. Unlike life, where sometimes terrible things happened and you could not fix them no matter how hard you tried. "Tommy, dinner," his mother called from downstairs. "Coming, Mom," he shouted back. He closed his laptop and wheeled himself to the small platform lift his mother had installed near the stairs. It had cost money they did not have, but his mother insisted. She said Tommy needed to be able to move around the house freely. His mother, Maria Rodriguez, worked 3 jobs. She cleaned offices early in the morning before the sun came up. Then she worked at a restaurant during lunch. At night, she stocked shelves at a grocery store. Tommy barely saw her except for dinner, which she always made sure to eat with him no matter how tired she was. The lift hummed as it carried Tommy down to the first floor. He could smell his mother's cooking, arroz con pollo, his favorite. She made it every Friday, even when money was tight. His mother stood at the stove, her back to him. She was only 37, but she looked older, tired, the kind of tired that sleep could not fix. "Smells amazing, Mom," Tommy said, wheeling into the small kitchen. She turned and smiled. When she smiled, she looked young again, like the photos Tommy had seen of her and his father when they first met. "You say that every time," she laughed. "Because it's true every time," Tommy replied. They sat at the small table. His father's chair remained empty, and ate together. His mother asked about his day. Tommy told her about the new coding project he was working on, a program that could help organize medical records more efficiently. "You are so smart, Mijo," his mother said softly. "Your father would be so proud." Tommy looked down at his plate. Talking about his father always hurt, like touching a bruise that never quite healed. "I wish he could see you," his mother continued. "All the things you are learning, all the things you will do." "Mom," Tommy said quietly, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." Do you ever cry about Dad, about everything?" His mother's hand froze halfway to her mouth. She put down her fork slowly. For a moment she did not answer. "Yes," she finally said, "I cry when you are asleep, when I am driving between jobs, when I see fathers playing with their children in the park." Her voice cracked slightly. "I cry, Tommy, but I do not cry in front of you because I need to be strong, for both of us." "You don't have to be strong all the time," Tommy whispered. His mother reached across the table and took his hand. "Yes, I do, because if I break, who will hold us together?" They finished dinner in silence, the weight of unspoken grief sitting between them like an invisible guest. Later that night, Tommy lay in bed but could not sleep. He grabbed his laptop and opened it in the darkness, the screen's blue glow washing over his face. He started searching, not for anything specific at first, just information about spinal cord injuries, about nerve damage, about any new research or treatments that might help people like him. Most of what he found was depressing. Articles about how complex the spinal cord was, how difficult nerve regeneration remained, how most treatments were still years or decades away from being available. But then he found something different, a video from a technology conference. A man named Elon Musk standing on stage, talking about brain-computer interfaces. Tommy had heard of Elon Musk before, the guy who made electric cars and launched rockets, but he had never really paid attention. Now he watched, transfixed. Elon talked about connecting computers directly to the human brain, about using technology to bypass damaged nerves, about making paralyzed people walk again using neural signals translated into movement commands. "We will make the impossible possible," Elon said on the video. His voice was quiet but intense, like he truly believed every word. "No one should be trapped in a body that will not obey. No one should lose their independence because of an injury. We can fix this. We will fix this." Tommy's heart pounded. He replayed that part 3 times. This was not some distant dream. This was a real person saying real things about real technology that could actually help. Tommy spent the next 4 hours researching everything he could find about Elon Musk and neural interfaces. He learned about Neuralink, the company Elon had started. He read research papers he barely understood but tried to anyway. He watched every interview and presentation he could find. At 2 in the morning, Tommy knew what he needed to do. He opened his email and stared at the blank screen. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could he possibly say? Elon Musk was a billionaire, a genius, someone who probably received thousands of emails every day from people wanting something. Why would he read an email from a 14-year-old kid in San Antonio? But Tommy thought about his father, about the way his father had always told him to speak up for what he needed. To be brave even when things seemed impossible. Tommy started typing. "Dear Mr. Musk," he wrote, then deleted it, too formal. "Hey Elon," he tried, too casual. Finally, he just started writing from his heart. "Mr. Musk, my name is Tommy Rodriguez. I am 14 years old. I live in San Antonio, Texas. 16 months ago, my father died in a car accident, saving my life. The same accident crushed my spine. The doctors say I will never walk again. I spend a lot of time on my computer now. I teach myself to code because it is one of the few things I can control. But tonight, I watched your presentation about neural interfaces and helping paralyzed people walk. I watched you say that no one should be trapped in a body that will not obey. I do not want to be trapped, Mr. Musk. I want to walk again, not for me. I mean, yes, for me, but also for my mom. She works 3 jobs to take care of me. She cries when she thinks I cannot hear her. She is so tired, but she never complains. And I want to walk for my dad. He died to protect me. Every day I sit in this wheelchair and wonder if he would think it was worth it, if saving me was the right choice when I cannot even stand up. I know you are busy. I know you probably get a million emails from people asking for help, but I had to write to you because when I watched your presentation, I believed you. I believe that you actually care about helping people like me. Please help kids like me, Mr. Musk. Please do not give up on this technology. Some of us are holding on to hope, and that hope has your name attached to it. Thank you for reading this. Thank you for trying to make impossible things possible. Sincerely, Tommy Rodriguez. Tommy read the email 5 times. He changed a few words, added a sentence, deleted it, changed it back. Finally, at 2:47 in the morning, he moved his cursor over the send button. His finger hesitated. What if Elon Musk never read it? What if he did read it but did not care? What if Tommy was just another kid asking for a miracle from someone who could not deliver? Tommy looked at the framed photo on his desk. His father smiling, arm around Tommy's shoulder at that last soccer tournament. The photo was taken an hour before the accident. His father would tell him to be brave. Tommy clicked send. The email disappeared from his screen, flying through the internet to somewhere Tommy could not follow, to an inbox he would never see, to a person he would probably never meet. Tommy closed his laptop and lay back in bed. He felt foolish. Elon Musk would never respond. Why would he? But at least Tommy had tried. At least he had been brave enough to ask for hope. He fell asleep thinking about walking, about standing up from his wheelchair and taking steps, about his mother's face when she saw him on his feet, about making his father's sacrifice mean something. The next morning, Tommy woke to sunlight streaming through his window. Saturday. No school. His mother would already be at her first job. He grabbed his laptop out of habit and opened it, expecting nothing. His inbox showed one new message. The sender name made his heart stop, Elon Musk. Tommy's hands shook so hard he almost dropped the laptop. This could not be real. It had to be spam, a fake account, some kind of automated response. He clicked the email. Tommy, it read. I read your email at 4 a.m., could not sleep anyway. Your father sounds like he was an incredibly brave man. He would be very proud of you, not because you can or cannot walk, but because you are smart, caring, and you think about others even when dealing with your own pain. I want you to know something important. I promise you we will make this happen. Not someday, not maybe. We will develop technology that helps you walk again. Hold on. Keep dreaming. Keep learning to code. We will need brilliant people like you to help us build the future. This is not an empty promise. I am going to build something for you and for everyone like you. It might take time, it might be hard, but I do not give up on important things, and helping you walk again is important. Stay strong, Tommy. Your story matters. You matter. Elon. Tommy read the email 10 times, then 20. Then he lost count. Elon Musk had responded, had actually read his email and responded, had made a promise. Tommy's eyes filled with tears. He did not try to stop them. For the first time since the accident, Tommy felt something he had almost forgotten: real hope. He printed the email on his old printer. The ink was running low, so some words came out faded, but he did not care. He taped it to the wall above his bed, right next to the photo of his father. Every night before sleep, Tommy would look at that email, at Elon's promise, and every night he would believe a little more that maybe, just maybe, he would walk again. What Tommy did not know, what he could not know, was that his email had changed something in Elon Musk too, had reminded him why he worked so hard, why he pushed boundaries and refused to accept impossible. Tommy's email was the reason Elon Musk would invest $50 million into Neuralink technologies. It was the reason Elon would fight so hard for the mission. And 2 years later, when a board of directors kicked Elon out of the company he funded, it would be Tommy's newest email, asking if he could walk at graduation. That would change everything forever. But that was still to come. For now, a 14-year-old boy in San Antonio slept peacefully, holding on to a promise from a man who refused to break his word. Present day, San Francisco, outside Neuralink Technologies. Elon sat in his car, the engine still off, his phone gripped tightly in his hand. Tommy's email glowed on the screen like an accusation and a reminder all at once. I want to walk across that stage. 7 simple words. 7 words that carried the weight of a promise made 2 years ago to a broken-hearted kid who had lost everything except hope. Elon's jaw clenched. Marcus Chen and his coward board members had no idea what they had just done. They thought they were removing a distraction, eliminating chaos, making their company more stable and predictable. They had actually just freed him. Inside that building, decisions would crawl through committees. Every innovation would be debated, analyzed, and watered down until it was safe enough not to scare investors. Progress would happen at the speed of corporate politics, which meant barely at all. But out here, Elon could move at the speed of mission. He looked at his reflection in the rearview mirror. His eyes were tired. He had been tired for years, running multiple companies, fighting battles on every front, pushing humanity forward while critics said it could not be done. But he was not too tired for this. Never too tired for this. Elon glanced at the clock on his dashboard, 3:17 p.m. He had been sitting here for 6 minutes since making the call to Kimiko, 6 minutes of thinking, planning, calculating what would be needed to turn Tommy's dream into reality in 18 months. 18 months. The board at Neuralink would laugh if they knew. They had timelines stretching 3 to 4 years before human trials. Safe timelines. Careful timelines. Timelines designed to protect their reputations more than help patients. Elon had never cared about safe. His phone buzzed. A text from Kimiko. Just pulled up the mobility restoration files. You're right, this is impossible. When do we start? Elon smiled. That was why he loved working with Kimiko. She understood that impossible was just a starting point. He typed back, meeting tomorrow, 6 a.m., Neuralink Austin facility. Bring coffee and your crazy ideas. 3 dots appeared as Kimiko typed her response. The crazier the better. The crazier the better, Elon confirmed. He set his phone down and stared at the Neuralink building one more time. 42 floors of glass and steel and broken promises. Somewhere up there, Marcus and Rebecca were probably celebrating, congratulating themselves on making the tough decision, on putting the company first. They had not put the company first. They had put themselves first. There was a difference. Elon thought about Tommy's first email. The one from 2 years ago that had arrived at 4 in the morning. Elon had been at SpaceX headquarters, reviewing data from a rocket test that had not gone well. Exhausted, frustrated, questioning whether all the effort was worth it. Then he read about a 14-year-old boy who could not walk but was teaching himself to code, who had lost his father but was worried about his mother, who was trapped in a wheelchair but was dreaming about helping others. That email had reminded Elon why he did any of this. Not for the money. He had more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. Not for fame. Fame was mostly annoying. He did it because technology could change lives, could give hope to people who had none, could make the impossible possible. Tommy's email had inspired Elon to fund Neuralink, to invest $50 million into technology that could help paralyzed people walk again. And now that company had kicked him out. But Elon knew something Marcus and the board did not know, something he had been careful about when he first funded Neuralink, something his lawyers had buried in the contract that nobody had paid much attention to at the time. A clause, simple, clear, protective. If Elon was ever removed from the company for reasons he deemed unjust, he retained full rights to all core technology patents he had personally developed and contributed. Marcus probably had not even read that section carefully. He had been too excited about the $50 million check, too focused on getting funding to pay attention to the fine print. That clause meant Elon owned the fundamental neural interface designs he had brought to Neuralink, the signal processing algorithms his Neuralink engineers had shared, the surgical approach he had helped develop. Neuralink could keep operating, could keep their building and their board meetings and their careful timelines, but they would have to start over on the core technology. Meanwhile, Elon had everything he needed at Neuralink, and unlike Neuralink did not have a board of directors second-guessing every decision, did not have committees slowing down progress, did not have people more worried about their stock options than about the patients waiting for help. Elon's phone buzzed again. Another text, this time from Dr. Amara Akoy. She was a neurosurgeon he had been trying to recruit for months. She worked at Johns Hopkins, one of the best hospitals in America. Brilliant, dedicated, exactly the kind of person this mission needed. Her text read, "Heard what happened at Neuralink, disgusting. If you're still working on mobility restoration, I want in. My brother was paralyzed in a swimming accident when I was 16. He died 3 years later from complications. I've been waiting for someone brave enough to actually try to fix this. Are you that person?" Elon's fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Yes. Can you be in Austin tomorrow at 6 a.m.? 30 seconds later, I'll be on the first flight out." Elon looked at the clock again. 3:24 p.m. He had been in this parking lot for 13 minutes total now. In 13 minutes, he had assembled the beginning of something that would change everything. But there was still more to do. He opened his email and started typing. The message went to 15 people, the best engineers, neuroscientists, and medical researchers he knew. People who had told him over the years that they would help if he ever needed them. People who cared more about the mission than about safe careers. The email was short. "I'm accelerating our mobility restoration program. Goal: help paralyzed patients walk again within 18 months. This will require impossible hours and impossible problem solving. No committees, no politics, just the mission. If you're interested, Austin facility 6 a.m. tomorrow. Bring your passion and your best ideas. We're going to change the world. Elon." He hit send and watched the email disappear into the digital void. Within 2 minutes, responses started flooding in. "I'm there. David Park, neural engineer. Count me in. I'll quit my job tonight. Sarah Chen, software developer specializing in brain signal processing. Finally, been waiting for this. See you tomorrow. Dr. James Okonkwo, spinal cord specialist. My sister is paralyzed. I've been studying neural interfaces for 8 years hoping someone would do this. Thank you, I'll be there. Maria Kowalski, biomedical engineer." One after another, the responses came. People saying yes. People willing to risk comfortable positions for a chance to do something that mattered. Elon felt something shift inside him. The anger at Marcus and the board was still there, but it was transforming into something more powerful: determination. They had tried to stop him. They had tried to take away his ability to help people like Tommy. They had failed. In fact, they had done the opposite. By kicking him out, they had freed him from their bureaucracy, their caution, their endless meetings and careful deliberations. Now he could move at full speed. Elon's phone rang. Kimiko's name appeared on the screen. "I've been thinking," she said without any greeting. "If we're really doing this in 18 months, we need to completely rethink our approach. The current surgical method takes 8 hours. We need to get that down to 2 hours maximum." "Agreed," Elon said. "What else?" "The neural interface is too big. We need to make it smaller, more efficient. And the signal processing software needs a complete overhaul. The current version has too much lag between brain signals and movement commands." "So basically, we need to rebuild everything," Elon said. "Basically," Kimiko confirmed. "But here's the thing, Elon. I actually think we can do it. Not because it's easy, because we have something Neuralink never had." "What's that?" "We have you. And more importantly, we have a team that believes in the impossible." Elon looked at his phone, at the stream of positive responses still coming in. Engineers and scientists and doctors all saying yes, all willing to sacrifice sleep and stability for a chance to help people who could not walk. "Kimiko," Elon said quietly, "do you know why I'm doing this?" "Because you hate being told something is impossible." Elon laughed. "Well, yes. But also because 2 years ago, a kid named Tommy Rodriguez sent me an email that changed everything. He lost his father, he lost his legs, but he didn't lose hope, and he trusted me to help him." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "What happened to Tommy?" Kimiko asked. "He's 16 now. He graduates high school in 18 months, and he wants to walk across that graduation stage." "Oh," Kimiko said softly. "Oh." "Yeah," Elon replied. "So this isn't just about proving Marcus Chen wrong. This isn't just about building cool technology. This is about keeping a promise to a kid who believed in me when I said we would make the impossible possible." "Then we better not let him down," Kimiko said firmly. "We won't," Elon said. "I promise you, Kimiko, whatever it takes, However hard we have to work, we will not let Tommy down." They talked for another 5 minutes about logistics, about which researchers to prioritize recruiting, about which technical challenges to tackle first, about how to structure the team to maximize speed without sacrificing safety. When Elon finally hung up, he looked at the clock one last time, 3:31 p.m. He had been in this parking lot for exactly 20 minutes since being kicked out of Neuralink. In those 20 minutes, he had assembled a team, outlined a plan, and committed to achieving in 18 months what Marcus Chen's board thought would take 4 years. 20 minutes to transform betrayal into purpose. Elon started his car. The engine hummed to life, steady and reliable. He took one last look at the Neuralink building in his rearview mirror. "Thank you," he said quietly to the building, to Marcus, to Rebecca, to all of them. "You just made a huge mistake. But that mistake is going to save lives." He pulled out of the parking lot and onto the San Francisco street. Traffic was heavy as always. Cars moved slowly, people heading home from work, living their normal lives. Elon's life had never been normal, and after today it was about to get even more extraordinary. As he drove toward the airport, he would fly to Austin tonight, start preparing for tomorrow's meeting. Elon thought about Tommy, about a 16-year-old boy in San Antonio who was counting on him. Tommy probably had no idea what had happened today, had no idea that Elon had been kicked out of the company meant to help him, but Tommy would never need to know that part. All Tommy would know was that Elon Musk kept his promises, even when it seemed impossible, especially when it seemed impossible. Elon merged onto the highway, heading toward the airport, toward Austin, toward the future he was about to build. Behind him, the Neuralink building grew smaller in his rearview mirror until it disappeared completely. Ahead of him, everything else waited. 6 months later, Neuralink Technologies headquarters. Marcus Chen stood at the front of the conference room, a champagne glass raised high, his smile bright and confident. Around him, the board members and key investors celebrated. Balloons in corporate blue and silver floated near the ceiling. A banner read, "Neuralink, building the future of neural technology." "To our incredible team," Marcus announced, his voice carrying across the room, "and to our partners at Avalon Capital Group, who just invested $200 million in our vision." The room erupted in applause. Rebecca Holloway clinked her glass against Marcus's, her expression triumphant. "We made the right decision 6 months ago," she said quietly, meant only for Marcus but loud enough for nearby board members to hear. "Removing the chaos, bringing in serious investors. This is what focused leadership looks like." Marcus nodded, sipping his champagne. "Elon Musk was holding us back. Now look at us. 200 million in funding, partnerships with 3 major hospital systems, a clear pathway forward." What Marcus did not mention, what he had carefully avoided mentioning to the investors, was that the clear pathway forward was actually moving slower than originally projected. The core technology Elon had contributed was more integral than Marcus realized. Without it, the team had to rebuild fundamental systems from scratch. But that was a minor detail, nothing that would concern investors, nothing that would dim this moment of victory. Patricia Wu stood in the corner, holding her champagne but not drinking. She watched Marcus celebrate and felt something twist in her stomach. She had voted to remove Elon, had stayed silent during that terrible board meeting 6 months ago. Now she wondered if they had made a catastrophic mistake. "Penny for your thoughts." Dr. Yuki Sato appeared beside her, also not drinking his champagne. "I was just thinking," Patricia said carefully, "about where we would be right now if Elon was still here." Yuki's expression darkened, probably moving faster, definitely moving with more passion. He paused. "I regret my vote, Patricia. Every day I regret it." "We should have stood up to Marcus and Rebecca," Patricia whispered. "We should have defended him." "But we didn't," Yuki said simply. "And now we get to live with that choice." Across the room, Marcus was giving an interview to a technology journalist. "We're on track to begin human trials in 3 to 4 years, he said confidently into the recorder. "This is groundbreaking work, but it requires careful, methodical progress. We're not in the business of reckless innovation. We're in the business of safe, effective medical devices." The journalist scribbled notes. "There are rumors that Elon Musk is working on similar technology at Neuralink. Does that concern you? Marcus's smile never wavered. Elon is brilliant, but he's spread too thin. He has, 4 or 5 companies now. Neuralink has one focus, helping paralyzed patients. We'll get there first because we're not distracted. What Marcus did not know, what none of them knew, was that at that exact moment, 1,500 miles away in Austin, Texas, something impossible was happening. Austin, Texas Neuralink Research Facility, the same day. The facility did not look like much from outside. Just another industrial building in a cluster of warehouses and tech offices. No fancy glass towers, no impressive architecture, just function over form. Inside was a different story. The main laboratory hummed with activity 24 hours a day. Equipment lined every wall, some of it so new it still had protective plastic covering. Whiteboards covered in equations and diagrams filled every available space. And everywhere people worked with an intensity that bordered on obsession. They called themselves the Promise Project, though officially the work was just labeled as Neuralink Mobility Restoration Division. But everyone on the team knew the real name, knew the real mission. They were keeping a promise to a kid named Tommy Rodriguez. Kimiko Tanaka stood in front of 3 large monitors, her eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep but still sharp with focus. She had been at the facility for 19 hours straight. Her coffee cup had been refilled so many times she lost count. "Run the simulation again," she told her assistant, a young engineer named David Park who looked as exhausted as she felt. David's fingers flew across the keyboard. On the screen, a 3D model of the human spine appeared, neural pathways highlighted in glowing blue. A simulation began, showing how their new interface would interpret brain signals and translate them into leg movement. The lag time between signal and movement flashed on screen, 0.23 seconds. "Still too slow," Kimiko muttered. "We need to get under 0.15 seconds or it won't feel natural. People don't think about walking, they just walk. If there's a delay, the brain will fight the system." "I have an idea," David said hesitantly. "What if we use predictive algorithms? The brain doesn't send one signal for movement, it sends patterns. If we can recognize the pattern before the full sequence completes, we can start the movement command earlier," Kimiko finished, her eyes lighting up. "David, that's brilliant. How fast can you code that?" "Give me 12 hours. You have 8. David grinned despite his exhaustion. "Those are my favorite kinds of deadlines." This was how the Promise Project operated. Impossible deadlines, crazy ideas, solutions that seemed insane until they worked. Across the facility in the Surgical Development Lab, Dr. Amara Akoy was working with a team of 3 other surgeons. They stood around a detailed anatomical model, practicing the new surgical procedure they had designed. The old method for implanting neural interfaces took 8 hours. 8 hours of a patient under anesthesia. 8 hours of risk and complications. They had gotten it down to 3 hours. Now they needed to reach 2. "The problem is the placement precision," said Dr. James Okonkwo, studying the model intently. "We need to position the interface within millimeters of specific nerve clusters. Rush that, and we risk permanent damage." "So we don't rush it," Amara replied. "We make it easier. What if we use robotic assistance for the placement? Program the exact coordinates. Let the robot handle the micro-positioning while we handle the broader surgical work." James considered this. "That could work, but we'd need to design and test the robotic system. That's months of work. Or weeks if we contact Boston Dynamics and Intuitive Surgical," Amara countered. "I know people at both companies. If we explain what we're trying to do, they'll want to help," James finished. He smiled. "You know, when I left my position at Stanford to join this project, my colleagues thought I was crazy. Now I realize I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Amara understood completely. She had left Johns Hopkins, a position most surgeons would kill for, to work 18-hour days in an unmarked building in Austin. Her family thought she had lost her mind, but she had not lost her mind. She had found her purpose. Her younger brother, Daniel, had been paralyzed in a swimming accident when he was 15. For 3 years, Amara watched him struggle, watched infections and complications slowly destroy his body, watched the light fade from his eyes as he realized he would never swim again, never run again, never dance at his own wedding. Daniel died 2 weeks after his 18th birthday. Complications from a pressure sore that became infected. Amara became a neurosurgeon because of Daniel. Spent years learning everything she could about spinal injuries and nerve damage, waiting for technology to catch up with medicine's limitations. When Elon called and told her about the Promise Project, about Tommy Rodriguez and the 18-month deadline, Amara did not hesitate. This was what she had been waiting for her entire career. "I'm doing this for every Tommy out there," she had told her team on the first day. "For every family that prays for a miracle. We're not just building technology, we're building hope." Now, 6 months into the project, they were actually doing it, actually making progress that seemed impossible. Down the hall in the software development lab, Sarah Chen led a team of 12 programmers working on the neural signal processing software. This was perhaps the most complex part of the entire project, teaching a computer to understand the chaotic, messy signals the human brain produced and translate them into precise movement commands. Sarah's screen showed lines of code scrolling past faster than most people could read. She could read it, had been coding since she was 8 years old. Her sister, Michelle, was paralyzed in a car accident 7 years ago. Sarah visited her every weekend, and every weekend Michelle asked the same question: "When will they fix me?" Sarah never had a good answer, until now. "The pattern recognition is improving," she called out to her team. "We're up to 87% accuracy in predicting intended movements from brain signals." "We need 95%, called back Tom Morrison, her lead algorithm specialist. "Anything less and we get false movements, random twitches, people trying to walk and instead their leg kicks out sideways." "Then we keep refining," Sarah said firmly. "We have 8 months left, we'll get to 95%. "You sound very confident," Tom observed. "I have to be," Sarah replied quietly. "My sister is counting on me. Tommy Rodriguez is counting on us. We don't have the luxury of doubt." This was the atmosphere throughout the Promise Project. People working past exhaustion, people pushing boundaries, people refusing to accept that 18 months was not enough time, because for them it was not about corporate timelines or investor expectations. It was personal. Late that evening, Elon walked through the facility. He did this every few days, showing up unannounced, checking on progress, bringing food for the team. Tonight he carried 6 boxes of pizza and a genuine smile. Pizza delivery. He called out as he entered the main lab. Kimiko looked up from her screen, startled. "Elon, I didn't know you were coming." "Surprise inspections are the best kind," he said, setting down the pizza boxes. "How's the progress?" The team gathered around tired, worn-out people with excited eyes. They started talking all at once, showing him simulations, explaining breakthroughs, describing problems they had solved and problems they still faced. Elon listened to everything, asked questions, offered suggestions, celebrated their victories, and helped brainstorm solutions for their challenges. He found Kimiko alone at her desk an hour later, everyone else eating pizza in the break room. She was still working, equations covering her whiteboard. "You should eat something," Elon said gently. "I will," Kimiko replied absently. "Just need to finish this calculation." Elon looked at the whiteboard, looked at the papers scattered across her desk, looked at the coffee cup stains and the exhaustion written across her face. "Kimiko," he said quietly, "why are you doing this, really?" She stopped typing and turned to face him. For a moment she did not answer. "My grandmother," she finally said. "She had a stroke when I was 12, lost all movement on her left side. I watched this brilliant, independent woman become trapped in a body that wouldn't obey her. She died 3 years later, but really she died the day of the stroke. The next 3 years were just waiting." Her voice cracked slightly. "I became an engineer because of her, because I wanted to build things that help people. But most of my career has been building gadgets and apps and things that don't really matter. This," she gestured at the lab around them, "this matters. This is what engineering should be." Elon nodded slowly. "Thank you," he said simply, "for believing, for working so hard, for caring." "Thank you for giving us the chance," Kimiko replied, "for refusing to accept that impossible means impossible." Elon smiled and placed a note on her desk. "Thank you for believing. Tommy is waiting." He left her alone to work, making his way through the rest of the facility. In every lab, every office, every workspace, he found people with stories like Kimiko's, people who had lost someone or knew someone or were someone who needed this technology. The Promise Project was not just a research initiative. It was a collection of personal missions, all focused on one goal. As Elon drove back to his hotel that night, his phone buzzed. A news alert. Neuralink secures $200 million investment. CEO Marcus Chen announces 3-4-year timeline for human trials. Elon read the headline and laughed, not with bitterness, with genuine amusement. Marcus had no idea what was coming. No idea that while he was celebrating his $200 million investment and his careful, methodical progress, the Promise Project was racing toward a finish line Marcus did not even know existed. In 8 months, everything would change. Marcus Chen thought he had won by kicking Elon out. He was about to learn how wrong he was. 14 months after Elon's betrayal, San Antonio, Texas. Tommy Rodriguez sat in his wheelchair in the living room, his laptop balanced on his knees. He was supposed to be doing homework, calculus problems that were due tomorrow, but he could not concentrate. His 16th birthday had passed 3 months ago. High school graduation was now just 8 months away. 8 months until he was supposed to walk across that stage. 8 months, and he had heard nothing from Elon Musk about Neuralink's progress. Tommy had tried not to worry. Tried to tell himself that developing medical technology took time, that Elon was busy with his other companies. That silence did not mean the promise was broken, but doubt crept in anyway, especially late at night when he could not sleep. His mother, Maria, worked at the restaurant right now. She would not be home for another 3 hours. The house felt empty and quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. Tommy closed his laptop and wheeled himself to the window. The neighborhood kids were not playing basketball tonight. Too cold. Winter in San Antonio was mild compared to other places, but still cold enough to keep people inside. He thought about his father, about the promise he had made to himself to walk for his dad, to prove that his father's sacrifice had meant something. Time was running out. Tommy's phone buzzed. A text from his best friend, Miguel. "Dude, turn on the news. Channel 5. Right now." Tommy grabbed the remote and switched on the television, flipping to Channel 5. A breaking news banner scrolled across the bottom of the screen. Neuralink announces breakthrough in mobility restoration technology. Tommy's heart stopped. The camera showed a press conference, a stage with blue curtains, and there walking to the podium was Elon Musk. Tommy's hands shook so badly he almost dropped the remote. Elon looked different than he had in the videos from 2 years ago, more tired, more intense, but his eyes had the same fire Tommy remembered. "Thank you all for coming," Elon began, his voice quiet but carrying across the room. 18 months ago, someone told me I was too distracted to help people. That I was too chaotic, too unpredictable, too focused on impossible things. The camera panned across the audience, journalists, medical professionals, investors, all watching intently. "They were wrong," Elon continued, and something sharp entered his voice. "Today, I want to introduce you to 3 people who represent what happens when you refuse to accept impossible. 3 people who, until recently, could not walk. 3 people who are about to change everything we know about spinal cord injuries and neural interfaces." The blue curtains behind Elon parted. 3 people walked onto the stage. Not rolled, not carried, walked. Tommy could not breathe, could not think, could only stare at the television as 3 individuals who had been paralyzed walked across that stage with careful but steady steps. The audience in the press conference erupted in applause and tears. Journalists stood from their seats. Camera flashes filled the room like lightning. The first person was a woman in her 30s, tears streaming down her face. The second was a veteran, a man in his 50s wearing a military cap. The third was a young woman, maybe 20 years old, smiling so wide it looked like her face might split. They stood beside Elon, all of them clearly emotional. The veteran's hands shook. The young woman kept looking down at her feet as if she still could not believe they worked. "Meet Jennifer Walsh," Elon said, gesturing to the woman in her 30s. "Paralyzed 5 years ago in a skiing accident. She has been walking independently for 3 months." Jennifer stepped forward to the microphone, wiping her eyes. "I have a 6-year-old daughter," she said, her voice breaking. "For 5 years, I could not chase her around the playground, could not stand up to hug her goodnight. 3 months ago, Dr. Akoy and her team gave me my life back. I walked into my daughter's school last week for parent-teacher night. She held my hand the whole way. I will never forget that feeling." The audience applauded again. Many were crying now. "This is Robert Chen," Elon continued, introducing the veteran. "Injured by an IED in Afghanistan 7 years ago, he has been walking for 2 months." Robert stepped forward, standing tall despite his obvious emotion. "I served my country proudly," he said, his voice strong. "But after my injury, I felt useless, like I was no longer the man I used to be. This team reminded me that I am still a soldier, still strong, still capable. They gave me more than movement. They gave me back my dignity." Tommy's vision blurred with tears. He pressed his fist against his mouth to stop from sobbing out loud. "And this is Maya Patel," Elon said, introducing the young woman. "Paralyzed at 17 in a car accident. She has been walking for 6 weeks." Maya practically bounced to the microphone, energy radiating from her despite the careful way she moved. "I'm 20 years old," she said, grinning through tears. "I missed my senior prom, missed graduation walking, missed going to college like a normal person. But you know what? Last week I danced. Actually danced. Badly, but I danced. And next month I start at UT Austin as a freshman. I'm going to walk across that campus like I own it." The audience laughed and applauded. The joy in the room was palpable even through the television screen. Elon waited for the applause to quiet before speaking again. His expression became more serious, more intense. "This technology is ready for FDA fast-track approval," he announced. "We have completed successful long-term trials with 12 patients. All 12 are walking. All 12 are experiencing dramatic improvements in their quality of life." He paused, and his eyes seemed to look directly through the camera, directly at Tommy. "And unlike some companies that are years away from human trials," Elon said, his voice sharp with meaning, "we are already changing lives. Today." The camera cut to journalists frantically typing on laptops. Split screens showed stock market data. Neuralink's stock price was plummeting in real time. Neuralink's valuation was skyrocketing. Tommy watched in stunned silence as reporters asked questions, as the 3 patients described their experiences with the technology, as Dr. Amara Akoy took the stage to explain the surgical procedure, as Kimiko Tanaka presented the technical specifications. Everything was real. Everything was happening. The promise was being kept. Then Elon stepped back to the microphone for closing remarks. "Before we end," he said quietly, "I want to say something to a young man named Tommy Rodriguez in San Antonio, Texas." Tommy's heart exploded in his chest. "Tommy, 2 years ago you sent me an email that changed my life," Elon continued. "You told me about your father, about your dreams, about wanting to walk again. You believed in me when you had every reason not to. You trusted me to keep my promise." Elon's voice grew stronger. "Tommy, we are ready for you. If you want to walk across that graduation stage in 8 months, we can make it happen. Dr. Akoy and her team are waiting. This technology works. This promise is real." The camera zoomed in on Elon's face, on his absolute certainty. "You kept dreaming just like I asked you to," Elon said. "Now it is time to make those dreams reality. Call us, Tommy. Let us help you walk." The press conference ended. The screen cut back to the news anchors, who were both visibly emotional. Tommy sat frozen in his wheelchair, tears streaming down his face, his phone clutched in his hand. It buzzed, an email notification from Elon Musk. Tommy opened it with shaking fingers. "Tommy," it read, "remember my promise, we are ready for you. If you want to walk across that graduation stage, let's make it happen. Dr. Akoy and her team are waiting. We have a spot reserved with your name on it. You just need to say yes. This is not a maybe. This is not a someday. This is now. Your father would be so proud of you, Tommy, not because you are going to walk, though you are, but because you never stopped believing, because you kept learning and growing and dreaming even when everything seemed impossible. You reminded me why I do this work, why I push so hard, why I refuse to quit. Thank you for that email 2 years ago. Thank you for trusting me. Now let me keep my promise to you. Call Dr. Akoy tomorrow at this number, 512 555 147. She is expecting to hear from you. Let's make the impossible possible together. Elon." Tommy read the email 5 times, then 10. Then he lost count. His phone rang. His mother. "Tommy." Maria's voice was frantic, crying, laughing all at once. "Did you see? Did you see the news? Everyone at the restaurant is talking about it. They said your name. Elon Musk said your name on television." "Mom," Tommy whispered, his voice breaking. "Mom, I'm going to walk." Maria sobbed on the other end of the phone. "Your father," she managed to say between tears. "Tommy, your father can see you. I know he can, and he is so happy right now." "I'm going to walk for him, Mom," Tommy said, tears streaming down his face. "I'm going to keep my promise to Dad." They stayed on the phone for 20 minutes, both crying, both overwhelmed with emotions too big for words. When they finally hung up, Tommy sat in the quiet living room and looked at the email from Elon still glowing on his phone screen. Above his bed, taped to the wall, was the first email Elon had sent him 2 years ago. The promise that had kept Tommy going through the darkest nights. Tomorrow, he would call Dr. Akoy. Tomorrow, his life would change forever. But tonight, Tommy just sat in his wheelchair and felt something he had not felt in years. Absolute certainty that everything was going to be okay. 1,500 miles away, Neuralink Technologies. Marcus Chen stood in his office, watching the press conference on his computer screen. His face had gone pale. His hands gripped the edge of his desk so hard his knuckles turned white. Behind him, Rebecca Holloway paced back and forth, her phone pressed to her ear. "I don't care what you have to tell the investors," she snapped. "Find a way to spin this. Find a way to make this look like it doesn't destroy us." Patricia Wu sat in the corner, tears running down her face. Not tears of joy like Tommy's, tears of regret. "We did this," she whispered. "We kicked him out and he did this. He kept working, he kept believing, and we made a mistake," Yuki Sato finished quietly. He stood beside Patricia, watching the screen where Jennifer, Robert, and Maya stood with Elon, all of them walking, all of them living proof of what the Promise Project had accomplished. "How?" Marcus demanded, spinning to face Rebecca. "How did he move this fast? We have the funding. We have the facilities. We don't have him," Patricia interrupted, her voice sharp. "We don't have someone who cares more about the mission than about the stock price. We don't have someone willing to work 18-hour days for a promise made to a 16-year-old boy." "This is a disaster," Rebecca said, ending her phone call. "Our stock is down 40%. Avalon Capital is demanding answers. 3 board members are already talking about resigning." Marcus sank into his chair. On his computer screen, Elon was addressing Tommy directly, offering him hope, keeping a promise Marcus did not even know existed. "We kicked out the wrong person," Marcus said quietly. Nobody disagreed. In the span of one press conference, Neuralink had gone from celebrated innovator to embarrassing footnote. The company that was supposed to change the world had been lapped by the man they kicked out. Marcus thought about the board meeting 14 months ago. About removing Elon for being too distracted and too chaotic. Elon had not been distracted. He had been focused on what actually mattered. And now the whole world knew it. Tommy's house late that night. Tommy lay in bed, unable to sleep. His mind raced with possibilities, with hope, with fear and excitement tangled together. In 8 months, he would graduate high school. In 8 months, he might walk across that stage. He looked at the 2 emails taped to his wall. The first from 2 years ago, "I promise you we will make this happen." The second from today, "We are ready for you." Promises made, promises kept. Tommy thought about his father, about the split second when his dad had jerked the steering wheel, choosing to save his son's life at the cost of his own. "I'm going to make it worth it, Dad," Tommy whispered into the darkness. "I'm going to walk for you, for Mom, for everyone who believed in me." Outside his window, San Antonio slept. But Tommy lay awake, staring at those emails, holding on to hope that was finally becoming reality. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, the impossible would become possible. Tomorrow, Tommy Rodriguez would take the first step toward keeping his promise. 3 weeks later, Austin, Texas Neuralink Medical Facility. Tommy Rodriguez lay on the surgical table, his mother holding his hand. The pre-operation room felt cold, sterile, and absolutely terrifying. "You are so brave, Mijo," Maria whispered, squeezing his fingers. Her eyes were red from crying, but she smiled anyway. So brave." "I'm scared, Mom," Tommy admitted quietly. He was 16 years old, but right now he felt like a little kid again. I know, Maria said, brushing hair from his forehead. But you know what? Your father was scared too. Every single day he went to work, drove that truck provided for us. He was scared something might happen. But he did it anyway because he loved us. That's what courage is, Tommy, being scared but doing it anyway. Dr. Amara Akoy entered the room, her surgical scrubs crisp and clean, her expression warm and reassuring. How are we doing, Tommy? Nervous, Tommy said honestly. Amara sat down beside his bed, her eyes meeting his directly. Tommy, I'm going to tell you something true. This surgery is going to change your life. In 2 hours and 14 minutes, that's how long it takes, you are going to wake up with a neural interface that will let your brain talk to your legs again. What if it doesn't work? Tommy asked, voicing the fear that had kept him awake for 3 nights straight. It will work, Amara said firmly. Do you know how I know? Because we have done this 12 times already. 12 people who could not walk are now walking. Jennifer Walsh chased her daughter around a playground last week. Robert Chen hiked 2 miles yesterday. Maya Patel danced at a club badly, according to her, but she danced. Tommy smiled despite his fear. But more than that, Amara continued, her voice softening, I know it will work because Elon Musk made you a promise. And I have watched that man work 18-hour days for 14 months to keep that promise. I have watched him push and inspire and refuse to quit. If Elon Musk promises something, Tommy, it happens. There was a knock at the door. Everyone turned. Elon Musk walked in wearing simple jeans and a black t-shirt under a medical facility visitor's gown. Elon, Tommy's voice cracked with emotion. Hey Tommy, Elon said, walking over to the bed. Mind if I crash your pre-surgery party? You came, Tommy whispered. I didn't think, I know you're busy. Tommy, Elon interrupted gently. 2 years ago, you sent me an email that changed everything. You think I would miss this? Elon pulled up a chair and sat down, looking directly at Tommy. You scared? Tommy nodded. Good, Elon said. Being scared means you understand how important this is. It means you are taking it seriously. But here's what I want you to remember. Fear and excitement feel almost the same in your body. Same rapid heartbeat, same adrenaline, same butterflies in your stomach. The only difference is how you think about it. So I should think about it differently, Tommy asked. I'm not telling you not to be scared, Elon replied. I'm telling you that you can be scared and excited at the same time. You can be terrified and ready. You can feel all these big feelings because something big is happening. Tommy thought about this. Were you scared when you were starting your companies, launching rockets? Elon laughed, terrified every single time. The first 3 SpaceX rockets failed, blew up, millions of dollars gone. People told me I was wasting my money, that I should quit. I was scared they were right, but I kept going anyway. Why? Because some things are worth being scared for, Elon said simply. Your father understood that. He was scared in that car crash, I guarantee it, but he chose to protect you anyway. He chose love over fear. Tommy's eyes filled with tears. I want to make him proud. You already have, Maria said softly, still holding his hand. Your mom is right, Elon agreed. But I understand wanting to walk for him. That's a beautiful reason. Just remember, if you walk or if you don't, if this works perfectly or if there are complications, your father is proud of you, for being brave enough to try, for holding on to hope when hope was hard. Dr. Akoy checked her watch. Tommy, it's time. Tommy took a deep breath. He looked at his mother, at Elon, at Dr. Akoy. I'm ready, he said. Maria kissed his forehead. I love you so much. I will be right here when you wake up. I love you too, Mom. Elon stood up. See you on the other side, Tommy. When you wake up, everything changes. They wheeled Tommy toward the operating room. As the doors opened, Tommy looked back one more time. His mother stood there crying. Elon stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder, offering comfort. Then the doors closed and Tommy entered the space where impossible would become possible. 2 hours and 14 minutes later. Tommy's eyes fluttered open. The ceiling was white and bright. Beeping machines surrounded him. His mouth felt dry, his head fuzzy from anesthesia. Tommy, his mother's face appeared above him, tears streaming down her cheeks. Oh, Mijo, you are awake. Mom, Tommy croaked. Did it work? Dr. Okoye appeared on his other side, smiling wide. The surgery went perfectly. The interface is in place. Your brain is already sending signals and the system is receiving them beautifully. But can I? Tommy could not finish the question. Not yet, Amara said gently. The neural pathways need time to adjust. Think of it like learning a new language. Your brain knows what it wants to say, but it needs to remember how to say it to your legs. We will start rehabilitation tomorrow. Slowly, carefully. But yes, Tommy, you will walk. Tommy closed his eyes, relief washing over him like a wave. 3 months later. The rehabilitation center gymnasium looked like any other gym. Mats on the floor, parallel bars for support, mirrors on the walls. But for Tommy, it was the most important room in the world. He had been working with physical therapists every day for 12 weeks. At first, just trying to make his toes twitch. Then his ankle move. Then his knee bend. The neural interface translated his thoughts into signals his muscles could understand. But his muscles had forgotten how to listen. Had to be retrained, coaxed, reminded of what they once knew. It was the hardest thing Tommy had ever done. Harder than learning to code. Harder than living in a wheelchair. Harder than anything. Some days he cried from frustration. Some days he wanted to quit. Some days the progress felt so small it seemed pointless. But he kept going. His physical therapist, Marcus, not the same Marcus from NeuralSync, thankfully stood beside him now. Okay, Tommy, today's the day. The day for what? Tommy asked nervously. The day you walk without the parallel bars. Tommy's heart raced. He had been using the bars for support for weeks now, taking careful steps while holding on, but walking freely, that was different. I don't know if I am ready, Tommy said. You are, Marcus insisted. Your interface is responding perfectly. Your muscles are getting stronger every day. Your balance has improved dramatically. You are ready, Tommy. You just have to believe it. Tommy looked at the open space in front of him. 10 feet of empty floor. It might as well have been 10 miles. What if I fall? Then you fall, Marcus said simply. And then you get back up. That is what walking is, Tommy. Controlled falling. 1 foot in front of the other, catching yourself over and over again. Tommy took a deep breath. He thought about his father, about Elon's promise, about his mother working 3 jobs, about graduation in 5 months. Okay, he whispered. Okay, I'll try. He stood up from his wheelchair, something that still felt miraculous even after 3 months. The interface hummed quietly, translating his thoughts into action. Tommy took 1 step, then another. His legs shook. His balance wavered, but he stayed upright. 3 steps, 4 steps, 5. That's it, Marcus encouraged. Keep going. 6 steps, 7. Tommy's legs started to buckle. He threw his arms out, catching his balance. 8 steps, 9. You've got this, Tommy. 10 steps. Tommy stopped, breathing hard, sweat dripping down his face. He had walked 10 steps without support. 10 steps that 2 years ago had been impossible. He turned around carefully. Behind him in the doorway stood his mother. She had taken time off from work to watch today's session. Maria's hand covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Mom, Tommy called out. Mom, I walked. I saw, baby, Maria sobbed. I saw, your father saw too, I know he did. Tommy started crying too. 3 months of pain and frustration and tiny victories all crashed over him at once. Marcus helped him back to his wheelchair. He still tired easily, still needed rest between sessions. But Tommy did not care about being tired. He had walked 10 steps. Next week he would walk 15, then 20, then across an entire room. And in 5 months he would walk across a stage. 2 months later, San Antonio, Texas, Tommy's high school. Principal Vasquez sat across from Tommy and Maria in her office. She was a kind woman in her 50s who had known Tommy since he started at the school. Tommy, she said carefully, I've been following your progress. The entire school has. What you have accomplished it's remarkable. Thank you, Tommy said. He sat in his wheelchair, though now it felt more like a choice than a necessity. He could walk with assistance, could stand for longer periods, but walking long distances still exhausted him. Graduation is in 3 months, Principal Vasquez continued. I need to know what you would like to do. We can arrange for you to receive your diploma seated if that is more comfortable, or we can have someone bring it to you, whatever you need. Tommy glanced at his mother, then back at the principal. I want to walk, he said firmly, across the stage like everyone else. Principal Vasquez smiled gently. Tommy, that is a wonderful goal, but graduation is 3 months away. The stage has stairs. There will be hundreds of people watching. I do not want you to feel pressured. I'm not pressured, Tommy interrupted. I'm determined. I made a promise to my father. I made a promise to myself. And someone made a promise to me. I'm going to keep all those promises. Maria squeezed his hand. He will do it, she said confidently. My son does not make promises he cannot keep. He learned that from his father. Principal Vasquez studied Tommy for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, but I need you to practice on our actual stage. Come in after school next week. We will make sure you can navigate the stairs safely. I will, Tommy promised. Thank you for believing in me. Tommy, Principal Vasquez said softly, this whole school believes in you. You have no idea how many students you have inspired, how many teachers talk about you in their classes. You represent something important. That impossible is just a challenge waiting to be overcome. 1 month before graduation. Elon received a video message on his phone. It was from Tommy. In the video, Tommy stood in what looked like a gymnasium. He wore sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair messy with sweat. Mr. Musk, Tommy said to the camera, slightly breathless. I wanted to show you something. The camera shifted. Someone else was filming now, probably his mother. Tommy walked across the entire gymnasium, 25 feet, slowly, carefully, but steadily. When he reached the other side, he turned around and waved at the camera, grinning. I did it, Tommy said. I walked the whole gym. Dr. Akoy says I am ahead of schedule. The interface is working perfectly. My muscles are getting stronger every day. Tommy's expression grew more serious. I have not forgotten what you did for me, Mr. Musk. You kept your promise when you did not have to, when people kicked you out, when people told you it was impossible. You kept going anyway. His voice cracked with emotion. My graduation is in 1 month. I'm going to walk across that stage. And when I do, I want you to know that I am walking for my father, for my mother, for everyone who believed in me, but also for you, because you showed me that promises matter. That impossible is just another word for not yet. Tommy smiled through tears. Thank you, Mr. Musk. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for refusing to give up. Thank you for being the kind of person who keeps their word. The video ended. Elon watched it 3 times. Then he forwarded it to the entire Promise Project team with a simple message. This is why we did it. This is why it mattered. Within an hour, responses flooded in from Kimiko, Amara, Sarah, David, James, and dozens of others. All of them crying, all of them proud, all of them reminded of why they had worked so hard. Elon sat in his office at SpaceX and allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Not pride, pride was too self-centered, but satisfaction that a promise made 2 years ago to a heartbroken kid was being kept. Marcus Chen and the NeuralSync board had thought removing him would improve their company. Instead, they had freed him to work faster, to build better, to help people sooner. Their betrayal had become humanity's gain. Graduation Day, May 2021. The sun shone bright over Tommy's high school stadium. Rows of folding chairs filled with graduates wearing blue caps and gowns. Parents and families packed the bleachers. The air buzzed with excitement and celebration. Tommy sat in the front row with his classmates, his wheelchair parked beside him. Under his graduation gown, he wore a suit his mother had bought specially for today. In his pocket, he carried 2 things, a photo of his father and a printed copy of Elon's first email. His hands shook. Not from the neural interface that worked perfectly now. From nervousness, Principal Vasquez began calling names. One by one, students walked across the stage to receive their diplomas. The crowd applauded each one. Tommy watched the stage, watched the stairs he had practiced on a dozen times, watched the long walk to where Principal Vasquez stood with the diplomas. Thomas Rodriguez, Principal Vasquez announced. The crowd fell silent. Tommy stood up from his wheelchair. The entire stadium erupted in applause before he even took a step. People were already crying. Maria sat in the front row of the bleachers, her hands clasped in prayer. Beside her sat Elon Musk, who had flown in specially for this moment. Next to Elon sat Dr. Amara Akoy and Kimiko Tanaka. Tommy looked at them, at his mother's tear-streaked face, at Elon's proud smile, at the people who had made this possible. Then he started walking, step by step, slowly but steadily. His legs responded to his thoughts. The neural interface worked perfectly. He reached the stairs, grasped the railing, climbed. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, the applause grew louder. Tommy reached the top of the stage, started walking across. The journey that should have taken 30 seconds took almost 2 minutes, but he did not rush, did not stumble, he walked. When he reached Principal Vasquez, she was crying openly. "I am so proud of you, Tommy," she whispered as she handed him his diploma. Tommy took it with shaking hands. He turned to face the crowd, raised his diploma high. The stadium exploded with cheering, applause, and tears. Tommy looked directly at his mother, mouthed the words, "I did it, Dad." Maria sobbed, her whole body shaking. Elon put his arm around her shoulders, both of them crying. Tommy walked off the stage, down the stairs on the other side, and back to his seat. He had done it, had kept his promise, had walked across that stage for his father, his mother, and for himself. When the ceremony ended and families rushed to congratulate graduates, Tommy found himself surrounded by people, classmates hugging him, teachers crying, strangers asking to shake his hand. Then the crowd parted and Elon walked through. "Tommy," was all Elon said. Tommy did not have words. He just hugged Elon tightly, this man who had kept an impossible promise to a kid he had never met. "Thank you," Tommy finally managed to whisper. "Thank you for not giving up on me." "Thank you for reminding me why I do this," Elon replied quietly. "You changed my life too, Tommy. You reminded me what matters." Maria joined them, pulling both into a hug. "Thank you," she told Elon through tears. "Thank you for giving me back my son, for giving him back his dreams." Dr. Akoy and Kimiko approached, both emotional. "You did it, Tommy," Amara said, her voice thick. "You did the impossible." "We all did," Tommy corrected. "You, Dr. Akoy, Kimiko, Mr. Musk, my mom, my dad, all of us together." Later that evening, at a celebration dinner, a reporter asked Elon about the Promise Project and its success. "People ask me how we moved so fast," Elon said. "How we accomplished in 18 months what others said would take 5 years. The answer is simple. We cared more about the mission than about being careful. We cared more about Tommy Rodriguez walking than about committee meetings and timelines." He paused, then added, "Marcus Chen and the NeuralSync board thought they were protecting their company by removing me. They thought caution and predictability would lead to success. But they forgot the most important thing. Innovation requires courage. Progress requires people willing to work impossible hours for impossible goals." "So what happened to NeuralSync?" the reporter asked. Elon smiled. "They are still planning their human trials, still 3 years away according to their last announcement. Meanwhile, we have helped 47 paralyzed patients walk again, 47 people living fuller lives, 47 families given hope." "Do you consider this revenge?" another reporter asked. Elon thought about this carefully. "Revenge would mean I did this to hurt them. I did not. I did this to help Tommy, to help Jennifer and Robert and Maya and 43 others. Marcus's betrayal freed me from bureaucracy. Let me work faster. Let me focus purely on the mission." He smiled. "So in a strange way, I should thank him. By kicking me out, he accidentally gave humanity access to this technology years earlier than NeuralSync would have delivered it. His betrayal became thousands of people's miracle." "Beautiful revenge," the reporter said. "Not revenge," Elon corrected gently. "Purpose. There's a difference." Epilogue 1 year later. Tommy Rodriguez walked across MIT's campus, his backpack slung over his shoulder. He was a freshman studying neuroscience and computer engineering, maintaining a 3.8 GPA. In his dorm room, 2 emails remained taped to his wall. The first, "I promise you we will make this happen." The second, "We are ready for you." But now a third item hung beside them, his high school diploma and a photo from graduation day. Tommy walking across that stage, his mother crying in the audience, Elon Musk beside her. Tommy still used his wheelchair sometimes. Long walks tired him, and that was okay. But he could walk when it mattered, could stand, could live the life he thought he had lost. He volunteered at the Promise Project now, talking to new patients, sharing his story, offering hope. NeuralSync Technologies quietly merged with a larger medical research firm. Marcus Chen resigned. Rebecca Holloway retired. The company that was supposed to change the world became a footnote, but the Promise Project expanded. Hundreds of paralyzed individuals received the technology. Dr. Akoy led the medical team. Kimiko led engineering, and Elon continued pushing boundaries, refusing to accept that impossible meant impossible. The story of betrayal had become a story of purpose, of promises kept, of impossible made possible. And every time a new patient walked for the first time, the team remembered why they did it. They remembered Tommy. They remembered that sometimes the worst thing that happens becomes the best thing that happens to the world, because promises matter, purpose matters, and people who refuse to give up can change everything. 2 years after graduation, Neuralink Technologies' bankruptcy hearing. The courthouse in San Francisco felt cold and impersonal. Rows of wooden benches filled with lawyers, investors, and journalists waiting for the inevitable. At the front, Marcus Chen sat beside his attorney, his face gaunt and tired. He had aged 10 years in the past 30 months. Rebecca Holloway sat 3 rows back, no longer part of the proceedings. She had resigned from the board 18 months ago when the writing appeared on the wall. Patricia Wu and Yuki Sato had both left even earlier, unable to watch the company crumble. The judge reviewed the bankruptcy documents with practiced efficiency. Neuralink Technologies, once valued at $800 million, was being dissolved. Assets would be sold to pay creditors. The dream was over. "Does the former CEO have any statement?" the judge asked. Marcus stood slowly. His lawyer whispered something, probably advising him to stay silent. Marcus ignored him. "Your Honor," Marcus began, his voice rough, "I want it on record that I made the biggest mistake of my professional life. 3 years ago, I convinced a board of directors to remove Elon Musk from a company he had funded. We told ourselves we were protecting the business, making smart decisions, choosing stability over chaos." He paused, emotion cracking through his composed exterior. "We were wrong, completely catastrophically wrong. We did not remove chaos, we removed passion. We did not choose stability, we chose stagnation. While we held committee meetings and drafted careful timelines, Elon Musk and his team changed the world." Marcus looked directly at the journalists in the back row. Today, over 300 people who were paralyzed can walk because of the Promise Project. 300 families given hope. 300 lives transformed. That should have been us. That should have been Neuralink. His voice broke. Instead, we are here, bankrupt, forgotten. A cautionary tale about what happens when you value control over mission, when you choose ego over purpose. The judge listened impassively. "Thank you, Mr. Chen, this court." "I am not finished," Marcus interrupted. "I need to say one more thing." The judge nodded. "Tommy Rodriguez," Marcus said, "if you are watching this or if someone tells you about it, I am sorry. You deserved better than what Neuralink could have given you. You deserved Elon Musk's Promise Project. You deserved people who cared more about helping you walk than about protecting their positions." Marcus sat down, his statement complete. The judge declared Neuralink Technologies officially bankrupt. The company that had kicked out its visionary founder ceased to exist. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Marcus. He pushed through them without comment, but Patricia Wu stood on the steps, willing to talk. "Do you regret your vote to remove Elon Musk?" a reporter asked. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. "Every single day, I think about the patients we could have helped, the lives we could have changed. We had everything, funding, facilities, the most brilliant innovator of our generation, and we threw it away because we were scared of his methods." "What would you say to him now?" another reporter pressed. "That he was right," Patricia said simply, "about everything. He told us we were killing the company. He predicted exactly what would happen, and we did not listen because our pride would not let us." She looked directly at the camera. "Elon, if you are watching, I am sorry. You deserved better from all of us. But more importantly, thank you. Thank you for not letting our betrayal stop you. Thank you for building the Promise Project anyway. Thank you for proving that mission matters more than ego." The clip went viral within hours. Patricia's apology was shared millions of times across social media. Some people praised her honesty. Others criticized her for not speaking up sooner. But the message was clear. Neuralink's failure was not about technology or funding. It was about choosing the wrong priorities. MIT campus, Tommy's dorm room. Tommy watched the bankruptcy hearing news on his laptop. His roommate, Chen Wei, a brilliant physics student from Beijing, sat beside him. "That is the company that was supposed to help you," Chen asked. Yeah, Tommy said quietly. If things had gone differently, Marcus Chen would have been the one to give me this technology, not Elon. Are you glad things went the way they did? Tommy thought about this carefully. I am glad I can walk. I am glad the Promise Project exists, but I feel sad for Marcus. He made a mistake and it destroyed everything he built. Do you forgive him? For what? Tommy asked. He never did anything to me directly. He made bad decisions that indirectly affected my life, but Elon made sure those bad decisions did not stop the mission. Tommy closed his laptop. I think the lesson is not about Marcus being a bad person. It is about what happens when you lose sight of why you are doing something. Marcus started NeuralSync to help people, but somewhere along the way, it became about protecting the company, impressing investors, managing his reputation. He forgot about the patients. Chen nodded thoughtfully. In China, we have a saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but it also matters which direction you step. Exactly, Tommy agreed. Marcus stepped in the wrong direction when he kicked out Elon, and every step after that took him further from the mission. Tommy's phone buzzed. A text from his mother. Did you see the news about NeuralSync? Are you okay? Tommy typed back. I'm fine, Mom. Actually feeling grateful. Grateful things happened exactly the way they did. Because if Marcus had not kicked out Elon, maybe the technology would have taken 5 years instead of 18 months. Maybe Tommy would not have walked at his graduation. Maybe hundreds of other people would still be waiting. Sometimes betrayal serves a purpose, even if no one intends it that way. Promise Project Headquarters, Austin, Texas. Facility had expanded dramatically. What started as a single warehouse now occupied an entire complex. 3 buildings dedicated to research, surgery, and rehabilitation. A 4th building under construction would house training facilities for doctors worldwide. Dr. Amara Akoy stood in the main conference room, presenting to a group of 50 medical professionals from 12 different countries. They had come to learn the surgical techniques, to bring the technology back to their own countries, to help their own patients walk. The Promise Project is not about one company or one person, Amara explained. It is about a mission. When we started, we had 12 patients. Today, we have helped over 300, but there are millions of paralyzed people worldwide. We cannot help them all by ourselves. She clicked to the next slide, showing training protocols. That is why we are sharing everything. The surgical procedures, the rehabilitation techniques, the software protocols. We are not keeping this technology locked behind patents and profit margins. We are giving it away to anyone willing to use it to help patients. A doctor from Brazil raised her hand. This seems too generous. Why would you give away technology that is worth billions? Amara smiled. Because Elon Musk taught us something important. Some missions are bigger than money. Every day we keep this technology to ourselves is another day someone cannot walk. We would rather have 1,000 clinics helping patients than one company controlling everything. She paused, emotion entering her voice. My brother died waiting for technology like this. I will not let other families wait because we are worried about patents and profits. The mission is helping people walk. Everything else is secondary. The room erupted in applause. After the presentation, Kimiko found Amara in the hallway. That was beautiful, Kimiko said. Also, we just got the quarterly numbers. 347 patients now walking. 82 more scheduled for surgery in the next 2 months. How many facilities are offering the procedure now? Amara asked. 17 worldwide, Kimiko replied. And we have another 33 in various stages of certification and training. They walked together through the facility, past laboratories where researchers continued improving the technology, past surgical suites where lives were being transformed, past rehabilitation gyms where patients took their first steps. Do you ever think about NeuralSync? Kimiko asked. About what Marcus and his board must be feeling now. Sometimes, Amara admitted. Mostly I feel sad for them. They had a chance to be part of something meaningful. They chose security over significance. Do you think they were bad people? Amara considered this. No, I think they were scared people, scared of risk. scared of Elon's intensity, scared of moving too fast and making mistakes. But fear makes terrible decisions. It protects you from danger but also protects you from greatness. They stopped at a window overlooking the rehabilitation gym. Inside, a woman in her 40s was taking careful steps between parallel bars. Her teenage daughter stood nearby, crying happy tears. "That is why we do this," Amara said softly. "Not to prove Marcus wrong, not for revenge, for that mother and daughter, for every family waiting for a miracle." Kimiko nodded. "Elon called me yesterday, asked how many more facilities we could certify in the next year if money was not an issue." "What did you tell him?" "That we could probably double it, maybe 50 facilities worldwide." "What did he say?" Kimiko smiled. "He said, let's triple it, find 100 facilities. Money is not the constraint, will is the constraint." San Antonio, Texas, Rodriguez family home. Maria Rodriguez stood in her small kitchen, preparing dinner. But now she only worked one job, a position at a local hospital that paid well and offered reasonable hours. Tommy's story had opened unexpected doors. A nonprofit that supported families of paralysis patients had offered her the job coordinating family services. The front door opened. Tommy walked in, literally walked in, carrying groceries he had picked up on the way home from his summer internship at the Promise Project. "Hey, Mom," he called out, setting bags on the counter. Maria still caught her breath sometimes, seeing him walk. 2 years had passed since his surgery, but the miracle never got old. "How was work?" she asked, hugging him. "Amazing," Tommy said, his eyes bright with excitement. "I got to meet a new patient today, a 10-year-old girl from Houston. She was injured in a bicycle accident last year. Mom, she reminded me so much of myself, scared but hopeful, trying to be brave." "What did you tell her?" "I told her my story, showed her photos from my graduation, told her about the email I sent to Elon 2 years before my surgery, about keeping faith even when things seemed impossible." Tommy pulled out his phone and showed his mother a photo. A little girl in a wheelchair, smiling next to Tommy, both of them giving thumbs up. "Her name is Sophia," Tommy said softly. "Her surgery is scheduled for next month. I promised I would be there when she takes her first steps." Maria's eyes filled with tears. "Your father would be so proud of the man you have become, not because you can walk, though that is wonderful, but because you use your story to help others, because you turn your pain into purpose." Tommy hugged his mother tightly. "I learned that from you, Mom. You worked 3 jobs to give me hope. You never complained, never gave up. You showed me what real strength looks like." That evening, Tommy sat at his father's old desk, the one that still wobbled slightly, and opened his laptop. He had started a blog 6 months ago, sharing his journey with the Promise Project, writing about the surgery, the rehabilitation, the challenges and victories. His latest post was titled, "Why Betrayal Sometimes Leads to Miracles." He wrote, 3 years ago, Elon Musk was kicked out of a company he funded because people thought he was too chaotic, too distracted, too unpredictable. Those people thought they were saving their company. Instead, they freed Elon to build something better, something faster, something that helped hundreds of people instead of theoretically helping people someday. I have been thinking about that a lot lately, especially after watching Neuralink declare bankruptcy. It would be easy to say Marcus Chen and his board got what they deserved. That karma caught up with them. That justice was served. But I do not think that is the right lesson. The real lesson is about staying true to your mission even when people betray you, even when things seem impossible, even when the easy choice would be to give up and say, "I told you so." Elon did not build the Promise Project to prove Marcus Chen wrong. He built it because he made a promise to a broken-hearted kid in San Antonio who just wanted to walk again. He built it because mission mattered more than ego. Marcus's mistake was not being a bad person. His mistake was forgetting why Neuralink existed in the first place. He got so focused on protecting the company that he forgot about protecting the mission. I walk today not because of revenge or karma. I walk because someone refused to let betrayal stop him from keeping his promise. That is the miracle, not the technology, though the technology is incredible. The real miracle is choosing purpose over pride, choosing mission over revenge, choosing to build something beautiful even after people tear you down. So to anyone reading this who has been betrayed, rejected, or kicked out, remember, sometimes the worst thing that happens is actually setting you free to do the best work of your life. The question is not what they did to you. The question is what you will build in spite of it. Build something that matters. Build something that helps people. Build something that keeps your promises. That is the beautiful revenge, not destruction, creation. Tommy published the post and leaned back in his chair. Through his window, he could see neighborhood kids playing basketball in the street. Tomorrow, he would join them, not because he had to prove anything, not because walking was easy, it still took effort, still sometimes hurt, but because he could, because a promise had been kept, because impossible had become possible, and because sometimes, just sometimes, betrayal creates space for miracles. SpaceX headquarters, Elon's office. Elon sat at his desk late at night, reading Tommy's blog post on his computer. When he finished, he sat back and smiled. His phone showed 43 unread messages. 3 companies needed decisions. 2 rocket launches were being planned. Tesla's new model was behind schedule. The chaos never stopped. The work never ended, but Elon did not mind. Because chaos with purpose beat order without meaning every single time. He pulled up his email and started typing. Tommy, just read your post. You understand something that took me years to learn. The best revenge is building something so beautiful that your betrayers realize what they missed. Not building it for them, building it despite them. Neuralink is bankrupt, but that is not why the Promise Project matters. The Promise Project matters because 347 people can walk who could not walk before, because families have hope, because mission won over fear. You asked me once why I kept my promise to you. The real answer is, you kept your promise to me first. You promised to keep dreaming, keep learning, keep believing. You never gave up hope even when hope was hard. That kind of faith deserves to be honored. Thank you for walking. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for reminding all of us what matters. Keep changing the world, Tommy. You are doing it already. Elon. He hit send and stood up, walking to his office window. Lowe's angels spread out below, millions of lights representing millions of lives. Somewhere out there, 347 people were walking who should not be able to walk. Somewhere out there, families were whole again. Somewhere out there, hope was being kept alive by promises honored. Marcus Chen had tried to stop that by removing Elon from Neuralink. Instead, he had accelerated it. That was the beautiful irony. The perfect revenge that was not really revenge at all, just purpose, just mission, just refusing to let betrayal change what mattered. Elon returned to his desk. 43 messages waited. 3 companies needed him. The work never stopped. But he smiled anyway, because promises matter, purpose matters, and people who refuse to give up can change everything. One step at a time. One patient at a time. One kept promise at a time. So that's the incredible story of how one promise kept changed hundreds of lives forever. Tommy walked across that stage because someone refused to give up on him. 300 people regained their freedom because betrayal couldn't stop a mission. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this video from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. I love seeing our community spread across the world. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button right now. It helps us share these powerful messages of hope and determination with more people who need to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every time you subscribe, you're helping us spread kindness and inspiration to millions of people around the world. We're building something special here together. There's another amazing story waiting for you on the screen right now. Click on it and let's continue this journey together. Thank you for watching, and remember, promises matter, purpose matters, and people who refuse to give up can change everything. See you in the next video.